Instantly our chatbot works. I knew it, man. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch a damn thing. I just turned it off and turned it back on again, and now we've got and that sucks because now the VOD's gonna be split up, but what are you gonna do? That's a real shame that the part 1 won't have the chat, but alright. So before we go into it, let's do some inventory management here. We level up things so they're high enough level for Orleans, and also so they're above the fodder that we randomly get. And then we'll pick out what we want to level for the summer event, and then we won't use those for Orleans because they're going to be too high. Yes. The first things first, get everything to like level 5 or what. Anything I'm going to keep, you know, permanently, we're going to level up a little bit. And just give them a XP card, that way they're above the fodder. See, now the YouTube people can actually see what y'all saying. Boy, David is so high priority in the long run. Like, we're going to be leveling him up pretty quick. He's going to be, like, getting all the hero proofs and all that. Him and Ku are going to get most of our hero proofs early on. Damn it, Rex. Probably shouldn't level him because we might use the special ascension on him, so we might. Well, he's a candidate, we'll see. Dude, I'm thinking about grailing Hercules and Jason. That would be so cool. Like I'm really considering that. I don't. It's like Jason is pretty niche when he's really good if you're doing 1 to 2-star stuff. But like, you know, this is just, you know, I'm using what I get aside from, you know, Waver and Merlin and that kind of thing. So I don't know if like gameplay wise he's really worth it compared to some of the other easy to get sabers. But he's still good, and I really like him, and that's the important thing. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's true. We got Atalante, so we're getting the crew together, boys. I'm so annoyed though we don't have George, dude. Like he's really useful even early game. That's kind of obnoxious. So I wonder, will we use Nursery Rhyme to beat up Assassin Lee? That's obviously way down the line, right? We're not going to be in Lost Belt 3 tomorrow by any means. But we could do that. We'll see. I'll level her. We're absolutely going to level Nursery Rhyme. And like normally, like for Shimosa prep, for dealing... Like the hardest boss in Shimosa, in my opinion, is the Assassin of Paradise or whatever. Like everyone's all like Amakusa and stuff. Amakusa's easy. That's nothing. Like even on a free-to-play account, super easy. The Assassin of Paradise is definitely the hardest. And normally I would do like Caster, Ku, Babbage, you know, stuff like that, maybe Clown Boy. But because we have her, we might just use her. And also Lu Bu. And so to be clear, I would normally place Lu Bu as a pretty high priority servant to level on a new account. But on this account, he's actually really low priority because we have Hercules. So that's something to really keep in mind. Like I really recommend leveling up Lu Bu on new accounts. But David is a must. It doesn't matter what I get, I'm leveling David. David is a must, I think, for every account. Whale, not whale, free to play, doesn't matter. Like, Ku is also obviously something I'm clearly leveling because not only is he super good, but he's like my favorite character in Fate. So that's you know, no-brainer on that one. But even if I got, like, let's say if we got spooked by a really strong 4-star or 5-star Lancer already, I would still level Ku. Like, he's really useful. A lot of times you need more than one of a class. It's good to have a silver backup because I'm going to level up Berserkers, right? It's not just because of Hercules. It's not like, oh, I'm never going to level up a Berserker. I'm still going to level up like Spartacus. Spartacus is still pretty high on the priority list, actually. Yeah, I would say David is still required if you have Tristan, because it's okay. They fill different roles in a lot of ways. David is a budget support, and it has a little bit of DPS on the side. Right, David has way better team support than Tristan does because David has an art deck, so he helps give NP gain to your other units. He's got the attack up for the whole team. He stays alive himself personally better because he's got the evade and then a heal and a defense up. So he's just better for the support side of things. Where Tristan is a very good DPS that has a niche where he removes enemy buffs, which is awesome. Right? He's a good damage dealer, and then he removes enemy buffs. That's great. And then on the side, he also gives your team some team-wide survivability, right? And so together, though, they're amazing, right? They're both archers. You're fighting a saber boss. It's the easiest thing in the world to work Tristan and David onto the same team now. And now you got 2 evades that are team-wide, right? It's like, why wouldn't you want that, right? So if anything, if you have Tristan, you kind of want David even more, because now you just have just incredible survivability for the team. Yeah, you can do double David and Tristan, right? that's a viable option, right? You go fight Mordred or whatever, and that's gonna, kick its ass. So some of the stuff I'm leveling right now, I'm not necessarily going to be using anytime soon, but I'm leveling them because, I'm going to keep them, right? I'm going to level them eventually or whatever. I'm not planning on burning them until I have 5 copies of them. And I want them to be higher in my inventory than like new stuff I obtain, right? Anything, all those servants that I've locked, right? And like it's like the first copy of them, I want them above, all the like the fodder and all the XP cards and all that stuff. And I'm probably going to level a lot of these eventually anyway, so. I don't like Tristan, feels bad. I like Tristan. He's not my favorite character ever, but I mean, the man speaks the truth if you like it or not. Like, he was correct about his take on Artoria, and obviously, like, even he says later, he didn't handle it the right way and that kind of thing. But it's not like he was wrong. I mean, he was correct. I think a lot of people don't like Tristan too because of Camelot, the singularity, but that's not how Tristan normally is. That's not how any of the knights normally are. Like, they're really different. In that story, we might level up Hector. We really might. He's a lot better now since his buff, and we're gonna eventually need AOE people. He might be one of our go-to AOE. I mean, Arash is really high on that priority, but yeah, it might happen. Yeah, obviously he kind of let his emotions get the better of him, and like that's what he says later on. He regrets how he handled all that, but it's not like. It's not like he was wrong, and it's not like the other people weren't the ones, fucking up in the first place. I want to level Proto-Cu because one, I like him, and the anti-beast niche comes up for some pretty nasty bosses throughout the game. But a lot of his mats are going to be in high demand, and I'm absolutely leveling Cu, and then we might have. I mean, I'm generally going to level like 2 single targets of a class and 1 AOE. Like that's kind of the priority for every class. And then who gets picked is kind of based on what golds I happen to have and that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll just see. We'll Cu first, and then see where we're at. After that. She's a really useful servant though, because she's pretty decent for story content and stuff. You do kind of have a high skill investment though, but then she's really good for farming for a lot of people because she's got an upgraded NP, and she has an NP battery, and she has an attack up, and she's quick, quick AOE upgraded, which is like the best, raw NP damage. So a lot of good stuff there. Kind of low priority though for getting through for like the story and that kind of thing though, because you don't need AOE riders much. But, the stun's still good. I'm just trying to think. We gotta level up, like... We're gonna get, to get through the summer event, which is what we're doing next, we're gonna get carried a lot by our supports, right? That's just gonna have to be the way of it. For the story, we don't need to do that, and we're gonna avoid that. But for the event, we're gonna get carried a lot. But I need to level some things to help out, and so I think Hercules makes sense. So maybe Hercules... And something, maybe AoE, maybe Arash. I don't know, maybe we could get that going already. You gotta do all those upgrade quests and stuff though to really be useful, so I don't know, we'll see. I actually might not level Asterios on this account. I mean, I might eventually. I don't, you know, I'm probably gonna be playing this account for a long time. But he's super good, but whenever you need him, I can just summon him through the support system, right? Now, to be fair, I guess a normal player probably would have a hard time finding a friend to slot Asterios. So I feel like anybody could go to Discord. Hell, they could go to our Discord, like, and just go, hey, can someone slot Asterios to help me with Guadia, right? And you can get it, right? It's very easy to find someone that has an Asterios. But, someone that's not socializing in any way, you know, it'd be pretty rare that you'd actually have a friend that has Asterios slotted, so you kind of have to level your own. But, yeah, hashtag sponsored by Discord, right? Anyway, but yeah, like whenever we need Asterios, you have access to the support system, and they're not boss fights. We're like, oh, I really need to summon this other thing, and also have Asterios. It's like, you know, I can use whatever, and then just summon Asterios, and it'll work out. Matahari is actually kind of high in the totem pole because she's like the budget support that works with all card types. You know, she gives a lot of damage up to all card types, and she's good for Guadia. I think Arjuna is so much better though on JP than he is on NA. Like, I think he's pretty good now. Like, yeah, I don't think he's as good as like Gilgamesh and Ishtar and stuff like that. But I mean, no, he scales with command codes better than most. There's just no way around that. The way his heal works, his longevity can get pretty insane with command codes, with like that heal boost and all that. So he's definitely got uses, and his damage is fine. I mean, he's got a bust drop, an NP up, and an upgraded NP. It's like that's a lot of you know, damage, you know, boosting. So it's like he's fine, and he gets his NP quickly. He's got, you know, massive anti-debuff, you know, massive anti-debuff. So there's a lot of boss fights that's relevant. The double 100 gil removed me. Need for Arjuna, so he's just chilling at level 1. Wait, what? Like I missed a step here. Revu up, yep. Let's see. I'm really not sure what I'm gonna level for summer here. I'm definitely leaning towards Hercules. What command codes do you recommend for Fujino? Just look at Beastly's. Just look. I'm not gonna contradict him on anything on that. Besides, his work, like what he went with, works really well. So yeah, the heal one's really good. You got the debuff removal, the 10% battery. Definitely some room for flex though. Like, and that most units you want at least one of your command codes to be flexed, and you just respec based on what you need for that specific boss or whatever. Although Beastly might not be here anymore. I like Karna and Arjuna. They're both cool. I like Karna more, but I like them both. It's okay, guys. We may not have George, but we got Ben K. Alright, we'll use our special ascension on Hercules, and then we'll just, you know, like I said, we'll keep him in the back row for his main story for a while. It just makes sense. Let me check one thing though, because I will say I'm tempted to use it on someone that just uses a lot of hero proofs for Ascension, because hero proofs are going to be such a problem on this account. Because some people aren't going to be that hard to ascend, you know, the old-fashioned way. But some are going to be a nightmare. And just, you know, I don't want to... I mean, yeah, his Ascension mats are pretty easy, to be honest. It's his skill mats that use hero proofs. But he uses mats that I want to give Ku and stuff. I will use it on him. It's really practical to do it on him for the event. Because I want to be able to, you know, get through this event and get the... Because I don't even care about, like, most of the rewards. I care about the CE. That's the big thing. I want the CE. It's, you know, it's 50% starting MP and MP damage up. That's really good for kind of a basic craft essence. Oh yeah, there's hero proofs in the event. Yeah, I want the... Basically, this is all I want from the event. I want to limit break the CE, the Suzuka Gozen one. I want to get the Merlin command code, which Ari just said. I want the Merlin command code. And then I want the hero proofs from the shop. That's pretty much it. The problem is, I think... Don't you have to get a drop? Don't you have to get a CE drop for the Gozen one? I hope that the lower level stages will have the same drop rate, because this account's pretty weak. I don't think there's a cap. I think every servant in the tutorial summon could be a 4-star, because like Vol got 4 4-star units in her tutorial summon, so I am so not using that art, by the way. It's just too overdone for me. I love axes. I'm a huge fan of axes, right? It's my favorite like medieval weapon and stuff. But it's just, his axe is just so overdone that I'm not crazy about it. But the axe isn't really the problem. It's just it's just too much. Everything's too much, right? Like if I could use the axe in like stage 1 or 2, I probably would. This is the question. This is his canonical look, and I always say when 2 Ascensions are about tied, I'll generally go with the canonical one. But I do like this one. I like the spikes. I like the little extra stuff on the the fur there. It's kind of cool. But this one's got the clean look, right? This is the clean look. I do think I slightly prefer the second stage, but like I said, it's kind of it's cool to be canonical, right? This is just classic Hercules, right? I'm gonna go with stage 2 for now, but there might be times that I switched up and go with stage 1 just for like that classic look. Like I'm so happy that we used Beastlies for the Hydra video, so we just had like classical Herc, you know, with like the music and everything versus the Hydra. That was, I really liked that. But yeah, for now we'll go with 2. I think 2 is pretty cool. Kind of funny though, just re-roll for Hercules, which is really easy to do, and then the free Ascension thing is not like an event thing. Everybody that makes a JP account now can max ascend 1 servant, and you have 90 days to do it. So you 90 days to like maybe wait a minute to see what you get, and then just boom, max ascend, just like that. So really easy to get a strong boy Hercules. Dude, what's crazy is this is like my first JP Hercules. It's so messed up. Like a main account after I have like every 4-star, like every unlimited 4-star, not necessarily limited 4-star, but I have every unlimited 4-star except for Hercules, which is just like why. His bone structure is like wild as a berserker, I guess. We don't have much in the way of foe items yet, though. We gotta get... Oh, we need the mana prisms. That's another thing. We want to get the mana prisms from the shop. Or we want the mana prisms so we can buy the foe items for the shop. Excuse me. Yeah, this is the real new account. This is that we're not doing that throwaway one because the stream is actually working now. I'm so happy, dude. I haven't been able to stream in so long, and I've been so excited to do this. I'm just so glad I finally get to do it. We might not get the XP. I don't know how much we're going to farm in the event, so we'll just see. But like XP in the long run is not that hard to get because of the way FP summons are now. It's still good though, like for sure. So it just depends. It just sucks. I want to do the new account. People, people want to see the boss fights and all that, but like immediately we're going into like a grindy event, so that kind of sucks. But it is what it is. And we can't even do the challenge quest because we haven't beat Solomon, so. We could grail him already. That's wild. I'm not doing that, but that's kind of wild. Just get rid of these tutorial messages, man. Do we have any foe items for Herc? Probably a little bit. Yeah, 3. Oh man, we're 2010. Oh man, so strong. probably will grail Herc to 90 at some point. Isn't there a grail from this event? I guess we do want to get that. That's hard to pass that up. Dude, this event's actually going to be hard. I mean, this is a brand spanking new account, right? It's gotten, you know, we've literally beat Fuyuki. This is not a starter account. It's not an SQ account. Not, this is a total vanilla account. So this is going to be wild, dude. I'm just afraid it's going to force me to overlevel the story a bit. You know, I don't want to overlevel like the demon pillar from Oceanus, right? That's like the first real boss battle, right? And I don't want like my Ushi to be overleveled and my Hans to be overleveled. I could probably not level Ushi and Hans and those kind of servants though during the event. Like I can focus whatever I need for the event. Hopefully, just won't be what I need for Oceanus. And then after Oceanus, whatever I've leveled up to for the summer event is probably fine. I'm not leveling that, by the way. She's good, but I don't like her, and there's plenty of other budget sabers that are going to get the job done, so... And yeah, she's a perfectly good servant, but I don't like her at all, and there's just... It's not like... You know, it's not like I'm in any need of, like, budget sabers. You know, we've got, you know, Caesar for one, which is ridiculously good, and then you will get Bedivere later, so I'm not worried about it. And I actually like the... Like, I'd rather grail a Caesar or a Bedivere than use Hokusai. And, you know, no hate for anyone that likes Hokusai, it's just, she's not my shtick. That music encapsulates why I did not want to start this new account and put the VODs on YouTube and then this right away. That's not what I wanted. And see, I would have had like a week of playing this account before this event happened, right? But because of all the internet problems, I couldn't. That would have been so great because in a week we probably would have been up to maybe London or something, right? And we would have just been playing normally. And then we're at London, it's okay for your servants to be like 50, 60 or whatever. So if we level up for this event, it would have been okay. I love this song so much. So you know what? I'm gonna take. Oh God, no! Ugh, you have to bring Hokusai. Ugh, I don't. And there's no Switch Mystic Code, and we don't have Chin Gong yet. But so I'm gonna take this moment to talk about costumes. Give me a moment here. Oh my God, our team cost is capped at 35 right now. That's rough, man. Let's see how are we gonna handle this. Who do we really need to get bond on? We have to get bond on her. Oh God, we have to be factoring that in. We have to do everyone's buff quests, right? We gotta, I mean everybody, like they all have buff quests and they'll often have bond requirements and stuff. So we have to really worry about that. Shoot. Who do we even start with, man? I don't even know. Well, we can't really bring much right now because of team cost, so... Oh, I can't even bring Ku. That sucks. I could do that. Hey, thank you for the bits, Lord. And yeah, I'm super ready for this. We're not even level 2 or 1 Mystic Code. Also, nice fucking zipper. Just, that is the dorkiest thing ever. That is just so dorky. It's like, the Chaldea symbol is the zipper. Like, who does that, man? Yeah, we can add Aerie for the event. I probably will remove you, Aerie, when we get to the story, just because I don't want to be carried by people in chat. Right, I want to try to add legitimate people like a normal person. But then once we get to like Epic of Remnant in Lost Belt 1, I'll add you again, obviously. If you can put on a symbol on a uniform and not make it a giant fucking zipper. That's like the Chuck E. Cheese, you know, icon is a zipper. That's what you expect out of like a child organization. So yeah, I should have put Siegfried in the front so you could see this better. But so I want to talk about the ridiculous situation of costumes in FGO right now, and like how good it would be if they would actually charge for costumes. Because all the costumes are free, we rarely even get them, right? They barely ever add costumes, and most of the costumes that they add are bad. And as an example of this, you know, subjectively, you might like the way Siegfried's costume looks here, and that's fine. But like, I'm gonna put this in slow-mo here. Objectively, they put like no work into it, right? They look at this. When you attack, all of a sudden, his sword just appears, and then it just randomly vanishes when he's done and stuff like. Now, some costumes they don't do that. Some costumes they actually bother to animate like in between frames, and it doesn't look absolutely terrible. But they don't do that very often. They normally just do it for waifus, and they don't even do it for all waifus, right? Like, look at this. Look, the sword it's there and it's gone, right? It's like it's not there, then he gets hit and it disappears, and then it vanishes. Look, it takes a step forward, it's there, and then it's gone, right? It just looks terrible. And a lot of costumes are like that, and a lot of costumes are very simplistic. They make them very simplistic, like Robin's. Robin's costume is super simplistic because they don't want to put the work into it, because they can't monetize it. They can't make any money off of it. Now, I don't think that's right. I think FGO makes enough money that they should be able to justify making things for the player base just to make things for the player base, but they're not going to do that, right? And so if we actually want more costumes, if we want, like, you know, the casual costumes for other characters, and you want those costumes to look better, you know, they need to monetize them, and that's okay. You know, don't put them in the gacha, and I've said this a million times. Games do better when they have multiple streams of revenue, right? It's not good to just have the gacha and nothing else. Right? Because some people aren't going to whale ever. Like, yeah, like for me, I don't whale. I'd be willing to pay, you know, 10, 15 bucks or whatever for, like, you know, Hawaiian shirt coup, right? So they'd actually make money off me if they did that. But, you know, if they add some fancy 5-star and they try to bait me, I'm not going to spend 100, you know, 200, 300, $500 for a JPEG, right? That's not going to happen. So it's like, you can keep your whale appeal with the gacha like you do like now, and then you could just on the side sell costumes for 10 to 20 bucks. Maybe every once in a while you make a really premium costume that, you know, costs more, and you can kind of target the whales with that. And it's like, that would allow them to make way more costumes, because as it is, we barely get any costumes. And then when we do get costumes, they're super simplistic, or they're just done poorly, right? And I don't mean that the design is poor. I mean that, like, the implementation of it is poor. You know, Jalter's flag is constantly appearing and reappearing, and there's no animation for it. Thankfully for Fuma and Merlin's costume, they actually did draw in between frames. But they rarely do that, right? And we rarely get new costumes. And I think it's fine to add low-effort costumes every once in a while. That's fine. You know, like, you know, why not? You know, why not add CEO Pinth, right? Obviously, that was very low effort, but, you know, people wanted it. It was already a thing because of the story. So yeah, sure, why not? There's nothing wrong with the low effort costumes, but, like, we don't really get any non-low effort costumes. And, like, I think there's a million CEs where, like, X character is wearing a cool costume and people want that, but you're never gonna get that because they don't make money off of it. They can't justify putting in the time and the effort for the artists and stuff to make all these, you know, sprites in game, because it's, you know, it's harder to make for a 2D sprite based game. Making a new costume is more difficult and takes more time than it does in you know, like a lot of 3D games and stuff. So, you know, I understand that it takes effort, and that's kind of why they're so lazy with them. But I'm like, you could easily make money off of these. You could seriously, like, if you could make like 5 costumes for, like, the popular characters, and those are all gonna make money. For characters like Phantom of the Opera and Blood X, yeah, you're probably only gonna make like 1 costume for them. But, you know, all those characters have fans, and if they like that 1 costume, they'll probably, you know, you'll get a lot of people that will buy it. So it's you know, it's financially viable, and it's actually pretty standard for a lot of games today. And yeah, you don't need to do loot boxes. That's what I'm afraid of. Is if they ever tried to monetize costumes, they would make them loot boxes, and that would just be stupid. You already have the gacha. That's enough gambling. That's enough RNG, right? You need, and it's not even smart. It's not smart to do costumes that way, because you're already hitting that demographic that's willing to pay for, like, the gamble. You know, you're already hitting that demographic with you know, people trying to MP5 5 stars and all that stuff, and then the people that aren't gonna buy that stuff, they're not gonna buy the costumes if they're random like that, right? So make the costumes a set price. It's much smarter. That's what Arknights does. Arknights has a gacha, and then they just sell costumes for, like, I think it's like 10 to 15 bucks, right? that's just a way better way of doing it. That's a way better way of doing it. And I see a lot of people not want that because they like that the costumes are free. But I'm like, okay, they could still make free costumes every once in a while at the same rate that we get them, and then also add a bunch of other ones that aren't free, right? But I wouldn't even care if we didn't get free ones anymore because all the costumes are free, we barely get costumes, and they're really low effort. Like, that's not worth it. I'd much rather them be monetized, and we get a lot of costumes. There was like, remember when the APOC anime finished, they had like a little celebration thing, and they literally made like a casual costume for every APOC servant, right? And they put a lot of effort into these costumes, and they looked really cool and everything. But we'd never get those in-game. We'd never get those in-game because, you know, they couldn't make any money off of them, and it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work to make those costumes for a game like this. So you're not gonna see them ever, right? And that's lame. Where if they could monetize them, they could have done all of them, right? They could have over time, they could have done all of them, and like it would incentivize them to make costumes for every character. You know, like Hawaiian shirt Ku, for example. Yeah, it's easier for arcade to do costumes though because it's a 3D game. In 3D games, it's a lot easier to make costumes because the model already exists and stuff. And like, looking at Hokusai's animations here, it's like, just comparing like her back foot movements to the new welfare, and I was talking about how the new welfare was so lazy because they literally didn't ever reanimate her back leg. They just moved it around like on a doll, right? But if you look at like Hokusai here, a lot of her movements and stuff, the actual leg is having to be completely reanimated because it's completely, you know, the foot is a completely different angle. You know, sometimes they move stuff around like a doll kind of, right? And like they don't actually reanimate it, they just move it. But like a lot of times they have to reanimate, you know, the arms and legs, you know, multiple times for the attack and stuff. I'm really surprised at how lazy the new welfare is, by the way. I've actually been comparing her to a lot of other 4-stars. Even Ku. Ku's a 3-star and an old one, right? His animation update was a long time ago. Most of their animation quality is much better now. But even Ku, for so many of his attacks, if you watch them like frame by frame, they reanimated his like feet and legs multiple times, right? Where with the new welfare, they like, I don't think they ever reanimate her leg for anything. They just move, it's always just the same sprite but being, you know, adjusted, which is so lazy. And like same for like Choco Jana, she's a 4-star, and you know, a lot of her, and you know, they actually reanimated a lot of her, you know, movements and stuff. Yeah, the new hairstyles is super easy to do in arcade, so. No, see that new pose she did there, they had to reanimate that. Well, actually, that one, maybe that big actually might have been able to manipulate that one, I'm not sure. I didn't really see clearly enough. But like with Ku, you can clearly see they had to reanimate like his feet multiple times and stuff. But yeah, really disappointing with the new welfare, how little effort they put into her sprite work. It's actually, so far, it's for like a newer 4-star, it's the worst I've seen. You know, some like, you know, day 1 servants are obviously much worse, but I haven't seen any more like modern 4-stars that are that bad. I don't even remember whose costume that is. The only costume I care about from this event is Fuma's. Because that one, they actually did the in between frames with the new costume, so it doesn't look completely stupid. Data lost. Why is this corrupted blipping screen speaking? I'm confused. You know, I don't see a servant, but I hear a voice. I don't even. That's such a mean meme, by the way. Who's this? I don't know. Void dust. Give me that void dust. But yeah, so new accounts, right? You're not gonna always have access to this specific event if you're a new account, obviously. But you know, within the first week or month of playing, they're obviously going to have an event that you can do. They do, you know, Fuyuki locked events all the time. People act like they don't, but they do, right? And whenever they get around to it, you should do it, right? It's like people are like, oh no, I don't have Holy Night Dinner, or I don't have Golden Sumo or whatever. But it's like it won't take that long for them to add an event that gives out a CE that has a 50% starting NP. Like it's not rare. It really isn't. And in the meantime, you can get imaginary around, you know. I don't have that yet, but you know, we will. Oh my god, I just realized a lot of these we don't have enough QP. We don't have enough QP to do them, and some of these we're not gonna have enough AP. You have to have like 40 natural AP to do them. Let's see, what's the best way to fix this? Let's see here. That's really unfortunate. Okay, we can do this one though, and that should get us a leg up. Yeah, this is kind of a unique event. This is not a great event for a new account. Like in the long run, you'll get way more QP than you spend. But yeah, it's gonna be kind of rough here. Oh yeah, we need to add Airy. I could so cheese this event and like everything else by just you know, or the whole game really by just, you know, summoning a unit from my main account. I have like a unit that can solo pretty much everything, but I'm not gonna do that, especially for the main story. I'm gonna cheese the shit out. I don't know, chat. What do you want to? I'm leaving it up to chat. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to just, you know, get through the event as best as I can using the tools available to me, or do I try to add people legit, right? Instead of using Rex, Area, and myself, I actually try to, you know, add, because we haven't actually sent an invite to anybody. Do we try to add actual people? Like for just get through the event. I just feel bad because, you know, a lot of new players are going to be in the situation where there's a new event. It's going to be pretty hard for them because they're so new. And then, you know, easily you can add people. People are generally willing to add, you know, random scrubs from time to time. Everyone's just saying go easy mode. Literally everyone's saying that. We'll try to do a little bit of both. We'll try to see, like, you know, how many randoms can we get, and then, you know, once we've kind of gotten our, you know, we've kind of gotten stabilized, and we say, oh yeah, see, we've been able to add a few people. But you know, if I want to make the stages a bit faster or a bit more efficient, I'll switch it up and use my units or Ares units. You know, we'll make sure we can, like, you know, beat the stuff with whatever we can get. Because the thing is, I think eventually it's gonna be pretty easy to get some OP person to add you, right? It's not that hard to do that. I guess good enough. We'll just go with that one because it's was at the top there, so. He's got a lot of event CEs, so yeah, we'll try that one. Don't really like a lot of these characters, but right now I'll work, like later on, this is what I did on my original account. I wanted like 15 friends and that was it. And I tried to make sure, you know, each 15 kind of, you know, had a variety of units that I liked and different ones from each other. But early on, I'm just going to try to get things that are good. So I think there's missions to get Hokusai to Bond 3. That super sucks though because she's a 4-star, so her team cost is kind of high. So that actually is kind of annoying. My FP, we'll summon you plenty Rex in the long run, don't worry. Shakespeare's somebody we actually do want to get Bond on. I don't really want to, okay, fuck it, we'll use Merlin. Because, I mean, literally anyone can summon a Merlin, and this one's not even on our friends list. Like, we don't get access to the NP, but literally anyone can do this. Anybody can do this, no matter what, so. I guess Arash is so many Bond with as well. Can't quite do that. I guess Ushi needs Bond as much as Ku, so we'll just bring Ushi in for now. Oh, I can limit break that again. I'll do that next stage. It's not that big of a deal right now. So I actually hope I get a 5-star. I hope the first 5-star I get... That music. I want the first 5-star I get to be either someone I super like or that I don't like at all. That way I can burn them and get Anniversary Blonde. I want it, hopefully... If I had Anniversary Blonde right now, I wouldn't be leveling it yet. I think leveling default is more important. But after default is 10, the next thing I start working on is Anniversary Blonde. So I'm hoping by the time default is 10, I've gotten a 5-star or a variety of 4-stars that I don't like that I can burn to get it. I should I'm trying to think. I feel like Ushi is a servant I don't want to level for this event because I do want to use her for Oceanus and I don't want her to be over-leveled for that. I guess she's supposed to be like level 40 or 50 for Oceanus, roughly. I could probably level her to 40 or 50 for the event though and still have her be useful, so we might do that. It's not like I'd easily be able to get her past that level anyway. Like, let's be honest here. I mean, it's pretty normal to burn a 5-star. There's a lot of 5-stars that people don't like or also aren't necessary. Like, you already have other units that do what they do. Like, for real, if you get a 5-star, like, there's, like, Vlad. If I got Vlad, I have Hercules, right? Hercules is way better. I'd much rather have Anniversary Blonde. And it's like, you look at it this way, and I don't even know why so many people don't see it this way. if you pull the 5-star, you know, if you don't like that 5-star, or if you're kind of iffy about that 5-star, think about it. What would I have rather pulled? That 5-star pops up on screen, or Anniversary Blonde pops up on screen. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I'd rather have Anniversary Blonde popped up on screen. So then you burn them, and you turn them into Anniversary Blonde, right? That's like the shtick. Dude, if he was Lancer Vlad, I'd be so down. But they didn't give us regular Lancer Vlad because they're jerks. Also, gameplay-wise, let's be real, Berserker Vlad is trash. He's like the worst 5-star. It's like between him and a couple other ones. There's a couple of 5-star, and like, you know, because he has 5-star stats, you know, he's still all right. It's not like Vlad's useless. He's not. You know, I think Vlad's better than a lot of 3-star Berserkers still, just because of his stats being so high. But he's certainly not. He's absolutely not better than Hercules, and I think a lot of times even you know, Darius can be better than him and stuff like that, depending on circumstances. Yeah, I've always said that, Ziggy. I don't think they read the books. Like, there was no anime of APOC back then, and they couldn't. This was such. You gotta understand, and they have said this. This is not speculation. They have said this. FGO is never supposed to be as big as it is. They were not intending on it being this successful. It was a quick cash grab, right? I don't think DW could have been bothered to read APOC back then, right? So they didn't know how to do Vlad. They didn't know how to do his vampire form because the writer of the book never designed it, right? They just described it in the book. And they're like, oh, we don't want to step on anyone's toes. We don't want to make a design for Vlad's, you know, vampire form and then fuck it up, and then some other game or some other anime does it and then ours isn't right and stuff. So they just like, oh, we'll make up some other thing. Oh, it's Berserker Vlad, who looks exactly like Lancer Vlad, but he's different, guys. And then because he's different, if they don't characterize him correctly and he says things and behaves in a way that isn't really consistent with the way Vlad is in the book, he's like, well, it's not Vlad. From the book, it's Berserker Vlad, right? And that's why Atalante has basically no voice lines. You know, Spartacus's bio literally just says that man was made of nothing but muscle, or that man was nothing but muscle. That's all it says. Because they're afraid that, oh, they might have mischaracterized the APOC characters, right? Now, by the time the anime came out, then, you know, Fate was way more successful. FGO was huge by then. They had way more effort and money, and so then they could actually, you know, bother to write the characters properly and that kind of stuff. And so by the time they did the APOC, you know, collab event, those APOC characters they put way more effort into, and then you know, they started making the older ones better and that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you look at day one FGO and the way they handled APOC characters back then, they were doing everything they could to just like make excuses so they didn't accidentally like characterize the character incorrectly, and so they didn't go into much detail. Look at Shakespeare. Shakespeare's My Room lines are so simplistic. And it's Shakespeare, right? You know, fucking most famous English you know, writer ever, you know, extremely influential in the English language, has a lot to say, obviously, and never mind in real life, but in you know, APOC, the books, you know, you couldn't get Shakespeare to shut up. And then his My Room lines are crazy simplistic and very unspecific, and are just like, they're obviously written in a way where they're not, you know, committing to anything, right? He's just like he's saying stuff that doesn't actually mean anything or doesn't, you know, interact with anything, right? It's just, and that's how pretty much all the APOC Day 1 characters are. It's really lame. Extra Vlad's awesome. I like Extra Vlad a lot. He's really cool. And gameplay-wise, he's good too. Yeah, that's like all the Manus enhancement stuff. Yeah, I know, it's pretty lame that Shakespeare has boring lines. I really hope that they do something about that at some point. He's just not popular enough, though. I mean, people really liked him in APOC, although the APOC anime cut a lot of his screen time. Dramatically, like a lot of it. So I don't know how much demand there is for, like, Shakespeare stuff. But yeah, Shakespeare's awesome. Yeah, I think most people know Gil and Mozart have the same VA. It's actually kind of noticeable. I don't have Mozart yet, though, dude. I hate that. Yeah, I remember the very first time I ever heard Mozart speak, I was like, oh, that's Gilgamesh's voice actor. So yeah, I can't do this stage because I don't naturally have 40 AP. We might seriously need to do Orleans first, just to, like, one, so we're allowed to level up a bit more, and two, so we have, like, higher master level. We might actually do that, because, oh shit, I didn't send that guy a friend invite, did you? I'm so used to not sending people friend invites, I don't think I sent that guy a friend invite. That was like an obvious one I really should have sent a friend invite to, because he had, like, all the CEs for the event. So that would have been really helpful. This guy's got some, so it's better than nothing. Some Monka-esque skill ranks right here, though. There surely we can find. Yeah, I don't think I sent that guy. Okay, that's nothing in the extra slot. That's a lot of event CEs, so that's good enough for me. I gotta remember to actually click the button. What's something I can level? I'm trying to think something I can level for this that I won't need until, like, at least London. I guess Fergus is fine. I could see us not using Fergus for a while, and if we have to use a saber, we could use Jason in his place. We don't have Caesar yet, though. Literally, Fergus is our only saber. I mean, if one or two people is a bit over leveled, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I probably should level Fergus after this stage. Of course I'll keep Nursery in book form. Her book form is awesome. Nursery, like, how can you hate on the book form? It's so cool! And then she has the playing cards! Like, I mean, how unique is that? She's a fucking book. And it's Nursery Rhyme. She's literally the embodiment of Nursery Rhymes, so it's very fitting. And I love magic cards, like, so much and stuff, so, like, it's great. You know, I've always said she's one of the only kid characters that it's not the only, but she's one of the few kid characters I'm okay with, because, you know, she's a lolly, but she's not sexualized in any way, and she's actually wearing clothing. And she's not a kid just for shits and giggles. It actually makes sense for her to be, you know, it really makes sense for, like, for her to manifest like that, because, like, you know, especially for Master as a kid, you know, it makes sense, right? I guess for an adult, she should be like Mother Goose or something. But that's how she is. Like she manifests kind of how her master, you know, sees, you know, nursery rhymes and stuff. So, you know, it's very fitting. But yeah, she's like the only lolly that's actually wearing clothes and is not sexualized. So I'm okay with it. So the other ones, I'm just like, absolutely not. I mean, Jack the Ripper isn't Jack the Ripper, though, from APOG. Like, it's literally not Jack the Ripper. It's just an amalgamation of wraiths that died in London, that they were killed in various ways, and these wraiths combined and made a ghostly thing, and that ghostly thing went around murdering people in a way that happened to be similar to Jack the Ripper, so they got confused with it. But they're not Jack the Ripper. And Jack the Ripper is in Fate, and is in Fate Strange Fate, and that's the servant actually based on the actual murders. Like, you might think it's Fate being cheeky and being all like, oh, you thought Jack the Ripper was the one responsible for these killings, but it was actually this murder wraith child. That's not what it is. Like, Jack the Ripper still existed and still was responsible for those murders in the Fate universe. The amalgamation of wraith murdered children just did similar murders, and so that's why they got mixed up. Which is completely bullshit, and it's just an excuse to make, you know, a lolly murderer, but, you know, at least they didn't disgrace the Jack the Ripper in the process, so it's not nearly as annoying as what they do sometimes. Oh, no, we'll probably get True Jack. We probably will. The only reason we don't have it now is because the writer of Fate Strange Fate has said he doesn't want them to put in Fate Strange Fate people until the books are done. By the way, Hercules is actually a 4-star where they put pretty little effort into his animations. A lot of his animations, they're just moving the animations, like the sprite that they already made. They do reanimate his chest and his arms several times for some of his attacks, but and this is very common, unfortunately, for animation updates, where they just don't put as much effort into them because they can't monetize them. But if you just look, a lot of his ligaments and stuff aren't being redrawn in this movement. Now they do redraw them, like that smack there. They redrew his arm several times, and they redrew his chest there. You see the back of his chest instead of the front. But his legs are rarely reanimated, so very similar to the new Welfare. It's not about disgracing the serial killer, it's about disgracing the myth and the legend around it. right? Because I don't think anybody personally likes Jack the Ripper, right? We don't even know who it was, but although they've narrowed it down to pretty much these two guys, like I've looked into that recently, and it's pretty much assuredly one of those two guys, if not both. But you know, the cultural impact that it had, and you know, the mystery around it and everything is something that, you know, I think people are super intrigued by and interested in, and so representing that poorly is not exactly, you know, it's not like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, ban this game because they represented it poorly. It's more like, you know, it's like I don't like this thing. And that's really all there is to it. But I like it when, you know, they do things in a way that I do like, obviously. So yeah, I don't think anyone's really caring about a serial killer's you know, personal opinion about how he's being portrayed in a video game long after his death. It's more about like the cultural impact and mystery and everything. Yeah, basically, okay, so for real, this is not, you know, reading between the lines. This is what the book says. This is what the character material says. Jack in APOC is not Jack the Ripper. It's just not. They just got mixed in with the legend just because of, you know, they were these murder babies running around killing people. And they've said there is a real Jack the Ripper, right? But the Throne of Heroes doesn't know who it is because in real life we don't know who it is for sure, right? And so Jack in APOC is not even based off the Jack the Ripper murders. It's based off these, you know, kids that were running around murdering people in a similar way. And that kind of got mixed in with the legend. Where Jack in Fate Strange Fake is not the specific person that was Jack the Ripper, although one of the people he manifests as probably is the true killer, but he doesn't even know, because, you know, the collective conscience of mankind doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. Fate stuff, you know, jargon. Anyway, and so he's manifesting as like as the murders, so, you know, as the mystery of the murders, right? But it's based off the actual murders, you know. So it is ultimately, you know, based off the real Jack the Ripper. It's just, even, you know, humanity doesn't know who the real killer was for sure, and he doesn't know who the real killer was for sure because of that. And so the Throne of Heroes hasn't recorded who the proper one is, and all that stuff. But he's manifesting based off of the actual killings where Jack is not. Can there be heroes in the Throne of Heroes that community doesn't know about? Probably not. I don't think they really specifically talked about that. I mean, the thing is, Fate will bullshit things at any time, right? It's like different writers care about like what's consistent and what makes sense more than others, you know, because, you know, it's just like with comic books, you know, some comic book writers, you know, just bullshit things and some don't, you know, there's no real consistency there. It's the same with Fate, you know, it's like Chaldea shouldn't really exist, and there was really no justification for it until FGO existed, and they just made it up. They just made it up. Right, it doesn't make any sense with the established lore, and they just made up a bunch of new stuff we never heard of to explain it, right? So if they want some random hero no one's ever heard of to just suddenly be in the Throne of Heroes because reasons, they can make up whatever reason they want, right? And a lot of the writers don't take it that seriously. Natsu doesn't take it that seriously most of the time. Takes it vaguely seriously, but yeah, it just depends. Some of the writers take it seriously, and they try to make things make sense, and they try to make it fair and reasonable. But a lot of people, they do the rule of cool, right? They want to do the cool thing. We just leveled up twice, by the way. But they want to do the cool thing, and then they make a lore justification to make it work, right? Like they're not lore second, cool thing first. Which I don't agree with generally. I like when universes are logically consistent, and you don't have plot armor everywhere, and you're not contradicting yourself every 3 seconds. But that's not all writers. No, that's a good one to add, because you know, it's got Gil, which is nice, and then lots of event things. So we'll just hope we randomly get a whale at some point. Also, I think it depends on the story. Like, when it comes to rule of cool, some stories are inherently not trying to be too serious, right? And they're from the get-go, they're not trying to be super, like, logically consistent and all that. Now, I think all stories need a degree of an internal consistency. You don't need real world, you know, like logical consistency. But I think all stories need a degree of internal consistency. The only exceptions would be like parodies and stuff like that, comedies. You know, well, it depends on the type of comedy. But you know, some things don't need to be. But I think most things need internal consistency, like no matter what. But yeah, I mean, if a story from the get-go is kind of going rule of cool mode from start to finish, then it's like, oh, there's nothing to complain about because that's what the story has always been. And so if you don't like that kind of story, just don't watch it, right? Where Fate is all over the map, where some stories are really serious, some stories aren't. I mean, if you look at the difference between Fate Zero, you know, and Prismilia, you know, or a lot of the stories in FGO, it's so different, right? Like, you know, Fate Strange Fake and Fate Zero, you know, although it feels different, you're like, yeah, I can see this being kind of the same thing, you know, the same, you know, canon. But then you look at, like, you know, Fate Hollow and you know, FGO, and you know, it's like, this is really different. And then even different still, you're like Fate Extra, for crying out loud, right? So, and that's just kind of how Fate is now. It's like an amalgamation of, but, you know, it's a lot like comic books where you can kind of pick your poison. You're like, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, I don't like the way this writer portrays Superman or something, right? I don't really read comics, so, you know, go with the mainstream example here. But, like, so you might say, okay, this guy I think uses Superman really well, and he doesn't just use kryptonite as a plot device, and you know, he makes the character less boring, and, you know, and kind of explores the character in a way that's interesting, but still consistent with the roots of the character. So I like the way this writer handles it. But this other writer, you know, just like lazily uses kryptonite as a plot device. You know, he writes the character in a way that really is not consistent with the character's origin and stuff. You know, or he's just being really generic and bland, and not, you know, and so I don't like this writer, right? But that's all subjective, and thankfully there's enough variety in comics where, you know, you can kind of, you know, like I said, pick your poison. And I think Fate's kind of at that point where if you're like, I don't like Prismilia, you can just ignore it, and then you're like, I really like Fate Zero, then you can you know, enjoy that. So it's kind of nice. And Marvel's kind of a shit show in the last 10 years or whatever. For me, my favorites are definitely Fate Zero, Fate Strange Fake, and then, you know, Fate Stay Night is so, like, hard to explain because I really think it's written poorly, right? I think the story is very bad, and I think and Natsu has admitted this, and he has no shame, he does this on purpose. You know, it relies heavily on plot armor and plot devices, right? Like, you know, Heaven's Feel wants to focus on specific characters and not the characters they've already focused on, so they plot device things out the ass to make it, you know, go that way, right? I don't like that kind of storytelling. Now, some people are like, I don't really care about the story, I like the characters, right? And so they don't mind the plot devices and whatnot. And that's basically Nasu's way, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And I like the characters in Fate Stay Night a lot. I think the characters in Fate Stay Night are written very well. You know, they're very three-dimensional, you know, they're not just tropes, you know, so I very much like the characters in Fate Stay Night. But I don't like all the plot devices and all the plot armor, and I also don't like the way the screen time is divided. That's a huge part of it, is like, I think the screen time, especially in the visual novel, right? I think the visual novels do a better job of characterizing the characters than the anime does, but there's so much, like, filler trash, you know, of, like, just, you know, school and dinner time and all that nonsense, and there's just way too much of it, right? And there's so little time given to, like, you know, Ku or Kojiro or whatever, and that's kind of annoying. I much prefer Fate Zero's format and the way it splits up its screen time. So we need to do this event quite a bit, but we do need to, I mean, we can level up from the event, I suppose, but it would be nice to also get, you know, a higher master level from the story. But yeah, we'll just do the event for now and see if we can get up to 40 AP. Did I send that last guy an invite? I wasn't paying attention. I might not have. Basically, I just need to send a bunch of invites to... I should put Hercules in my all slot. I feel like that makes people more likely to add me. Because they're not even going to look at the other slots. So, the right thing to give him would be like this, but that most people don't. We'll do that. There, actually, that makes more sense anyway. This makes way more sense anyway. That might get some bites. Crit hurt, yeah. Got that star absorb, boys. I don't have the, it's fine. I do not have the team cost to use that myself at all. And having to bring Hokusai is really hurting me, but we gotta get her to like Bond 3 or whatever. I actually don't remember for sure if you have to get her to Bond 3 for the event, but I figure I might as well just to be safe. Baiting whales with Hercules, indeed. It's not really about... Right now, the reason I don't want to use chat's units, it's not that chat can't like slot weaker stuff. It's that they can still slot specific stuff that I want and all kinds of stuff, where a normal new player that's a brand new account, never played the game before, they're just not going to have access to that. You know, they can't go, hey, can someone slot me as Darius? So that's why I'm not doing it this second. And because the first event is probably going to be the hardest event for you, right? This is probably going to be the hardest event we ever do on this account, aside from things like Nero Fest, Kill Fest, and those are exceptions, obviously. But, you know, because the first event, you're super low level. I just realized my bitrate is set super low. Because back when I was having internet problems, I turned my bitrate down. But like now, I have like super good internet now. It's like upgraded, and my upload is like 50. I know it's 30. It's not 50. It's 30. But that I could easily handle a much higher bitrate. I just forgot to turn it back on. And see, now I don't wanna stop the stream because this would be 3 VODs then, which would be kind of ridiculous. But it is pretty bad, you're right. Okay. We'll restart the stream, boys, and just casually have 3 VODs day 1, because that's how you do things on YouTube, am I right? But yeah, I gotta fix this bitrate, it's a mess. I wish I had noticed that sooner.